Hi everybody, in this little video I would like to talk a bit about the obstacles I faced when I decided to move from the Netherlands to New Zealand, Christchurch. Of course, as everybody knows, if you make a big change in your life or you make a choice in your life, you're gonna end up with obstacles you have to conquer somehow. Some of these obstacles are just a given, something that you have to face as a fact, but you have no control over them. And other obstacles you actually will have to tackle some way or another. Some are more urgent than others, and some of them may actually turn out to be great opportunities, as I experienced myself already. First of all, let's talk a little bit about all the obstacles that you kind of knew that would be coming. Get your visa arranged. Figure out what you're going to study, because I'm currently studying in New Zealand. What do I need to do to actually leave the Netherlands, where I'm from, because I do have a working history. What do I have to do with taxes over here and in the Netherlands, etc, etc, etc. All these things are basically paperwork and process, and you have to allow for it to happen. It takes time, but it's all in place, and if you do your due diligence, it will work out in the end. What were the other obstacles? The ones that I maybe hadn't thought about at all, or had kind of realized that there was, I'm going to need to tackle it somehow, or even the curveball that life can throw you every once in a while. First of all, let's start with that curveball. I originally planned to go to Avonmore Institute. And about a month and a half before I was planning to leave, I got a mail from them stating that they were out of business. I had paid, of course, everything already, and I was like, what am I gonna do now? Because the school I was gonna go to no longer existed. You can imagine that was quite a shock. Luckily, the curator of Avonmore was in contact with both ARA and Aspire 2, and eventually it all sorted itself out in the end. But it was one of those things where you're suddenly facing a situation that you have to deal with now. And the only thing you can do is just take the problem, dissect it, and tackle one bit at a time. In the end, it all worked out fine, because I'm now studying at Aspire 2, great college, I'm very happy to be there. And because of them, I'm now an ambassador for Connex World. So in the end, it actually turned out to be great. It's the opportunity. So what's something else? One of the examples of obstacles is my age. I'm a little bit older than most students. I'm 49 to be precise, and that could be a problem on the work floor. However, because I decided to move from the Netherlands over here, I've got 20 years of work experience. I can show basically by the steps that I've taken to get here, by the choices I made to be here, that I may be 49 years old, but first of all, I've got a lot of life experience. Second of all, I'm not afraid to take chances. And third of all, I'm great at dealing with change and discovering new things. So my age, which at first glance seems like a negative, I actually managed to turn around into a positive for any future employer. Last but not least, what about those things that you kind of figured would be alright, and then once you get here in New Zealand, are not quite what you expect? Well, the biggest thing I saw there, which is not really an obstacle, but it's something interesting to notice, is the fact that even though I come from a Western background, New Zealand is considered Western culture, there is actually a difference. And it's got to do with the fact how people in the two countries differ when it comes down to dealing with stuff. We Dutch are very direct. We tend to be direct into our responses to people, but also we are direct in the way that we solve problems. We've got point A, we've got point B, and there is only a straight line in between that. As we Dutch people would say, wij zullen dat varkentje wel eens even wassen. It's a Dutch proverb. Here in New Zealand, that's slightly different. There is a completely different work-life balance than there is in the Netherlands. People are less direct, people take more time. Example, my car got a fault, it needed fixing. We'll get a quote to you, Mr. Schmitz, today. It wasn't today, it was actually 2 days later. Then I didn't have time to fix it, so it took about a month before I got my car back. They gave me a loaner car, no problem. But the whole process on how it was dealt with here in New Zealand and how I would have dealt with it in the Netherlands was quite different. much less direct, certainly slower. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so, because I think the Netherlands is going way too fast and it needs to slow down. But it is something that I need to get used to. And I am actually getting used to it somewhat already, because nowadays I realize I send an email out to a company or somebody, it will take 2 or 3 days before I get a response. That is normal. And that is something that I am learning, and I will have to learn, because I cannot expect New Zealand culture to change because of me. I will have to change to fit in New Zealand culture. I need to live the New Zealand life. I need to become a New Zealand person. So this is just a short video about all kinds of obstacles and the types of obstacles you can run into. And that's about it for today.